So I started out on Kiriko this map, which is not my main character,
Are
but
you? No, you're
I
Kara.
did. Yeah, I'm Ketra,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I didn't feel like I didn't do too shabby, but it just felt like I had little impact.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tried to do shit and just team died, and I'm there against three people and don't really know what to do then.
Yeah, and this is like
Um,
just a ranked lobby, like a what was it, like Masters or Diamond lobby, something like that.
this is like yeah, low, high diamond something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't remember exactly.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
All right. Well, we'll have a little bit of a look through, and we'll see what we can find in terms of how you're playing
Yes.
and what
Yeah, so
you're.
first I heard the trace on the Sombra before, so I wanted to get the anti off before they can dive my Ash, so I stood really early
Yeah.
and tried to keep an eye on my backline.
Yep. I think like first scene like just off rip, walking out of spawn. I think all's good. I think you started like rather passively is the only thing. Like one thing about Kiriko that is good is that as soon as you've seen the enemy team's comp and you've thought like, oh, they don't have a dive tank, like they don't have a Winston or a ball or something like that. You can afford to you can take quite a lot of risk on Kiriko. You can do lots of things on Kiriko. Where you played, you got a lot of value, right? You started somewhere passive, you healed your team, you Suzu'd the anti, so you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything negative in the scene, but you didn't really like at any point play to carry the game. If you're playing Kiriko, you can walk forward a little bit. You can like walk up into these flanks a little bit, take some shots, find a tracer or something like that, and start dueling her. So like even just at the
That was
very
also my
beginning.
thoughts. But
Yeah.
yeah, later in the game, it's what I was like thinking in retrospect. I could have probably done significantly more, but later in the game, it just felt like my team just fought over the entire time, and I
Yeah.
didn't really feel like I had an opportunity to like go for plays. Maybe I should have like still done it
I
because
think
well, my team fell over if I was there or
yeah.
not. So
I think
I
what's
wasn't sure.
important to recognize is that if you're flanking, if you're pushing a flank, then potentially someone isn't going to get healed, someone isn't going to get helped. With this comp, you've got a Roadhog, so I mean he heals himself, but you've got two squishy DPS, you've got a Widow and an Ashe, so you probably don't want to go too far, you don't want to take too much risk, but you can always afford, when the spawn doors open, to wander up, kind of drift onto a flank and just have a little look around, like Kiriko's a hero that can go so many different places. So, if you want to walk up here and just have a little look, see if there's someone to duel, just get some information, start poking up in main, like shooting the enemies that are up on the high ground just to get some ult charge even if you're not going on a flank,
Yeah.
just getting an angle so that you can shoot the people that are up on the high ground. That's always good because it's good to play safe and to heal bot from a safe position like where you are right now, but you're never doing any damage from this unless they engage on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can definitely afford to try and find a position where you're both doing damage and healing. And now what you're doing right now, it's fine for you to go aggro and push, but you should be mindful that you just use your Suzu trying to save the Widowmaker. And if you just Suzu to save Widowmaker and then you're TPing forward to keep pushing and to go aggressive, you're taking a lot of risk right now. When you want to be pushing, it's when you have your TP up, when you have your Suzu up.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't have TP to escape, you're running the risk of death. So right now you're getting really aggressive, but you just dumped all of your cooldowns. So I mean, I don't know if you die or not, but there's a chance, right?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I
Yeah.
thought I would pressure out the NS so my Hawk can
Yeah.
get the.
I think it's just a case of timing things with your skills. If you TP forward aggressively, you want to be really really sure that you're never going to get traded. But there's nothing wrong with risk. There's nothing wrong with risk.
No, but yeah.
Yeah. The reality of like every ranked game ever is that you will always do more being alive than you will be being dead. So like if your goal is to climb in these games, you just want to you want to take some risk to carry the game, but you also want to be able to focus on habits. You want to be able to focus on habits that lead to you not dying above all else. So like you see here how that habit has kind of influenced you a little bit, where your Widow's hooked up somewhere very very aggressive right now, and then you've used all of your skills. You used your Suzu, you used your TP, and then after you've done that, you're just continuing to fight in front of everyone.
Yeah, I thought I'd TP up, but I TP'd in front, so I did the fucking wall climb animation and was standing in 3 people.
The truth of it is, if you keep fighting once you've used all of your skills, you need to know that you're going to live. You need to know that you're going to be really safe. But what you just did was, you TP'd to the furthest forward person on your team. Like your Widow hooked into them, and then you also basically did the Kiriko equivalent of hooking into them. You're also shifting a rather short distance. Like you can, where you use the TP, you shifted somewhere that you could already see, and you could already access. So right here, Widow just hooked up. You can heal your Widow from here. You can Suzu your Widow from here. If you want to be good at Kiriko, good at support, you need to be able to throw your Suzu up here and hit it on the wall to Suzu her. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you shouldn't need to TP onto someone to Suzu the ground. If you want to climb from above, if you want to climb from like above Diamond, you want to get into Masters, you want to get into Grandmaster like consistently, you want to be able to do things without dumping all of your skills to get one off. It's like how if you want to be a good Ana.
On Ana, I'm a lot more confident. Like Kiriko is more like trying to get into her, but yeah, I see it definitely.
Yeah, because think about with Ana, if you had to go into the enemy team's backline and nade the floor every single time to get a good anti-nade off,
not the most effective playstyle.
And same way with Kiriko. You know, if you need to TP on for all of your Suzus, like when I started playing Kiriko, I was awful at it. I would always just do this. I would always TP in and kill myself.
Yeah, I get really stressed when I see someone in danger and just go, I have to save this person.
But you can afford to you can afford to spectate a little bit on Kiriko because you have this damage profile where you can do damage at really long range. You can do healing really effectively at mid range unless someone is like they're critical HP and you need to hit the Suzu instantly. But that's like the TP and Suzu. That's your emergency. You still could have TP'd and Suzu'd here and lived. You just need to run away after you've done that. It's the same thing as with your first TP, where if you dump all of your skills, you should probably be running away after you've dumped your skills, not pushing further forward. And you climb back up the wall and start fighting.
Summarize the point, like just timing engages more with my abilities and retreating when I don't have them and being more aggressive.
At the end of the session, I can give you some written up notes like to give you a more concise summary. But
that would be really helpful.
I'll give you a couple of like little dot points. So don't worry too much about like condensing it now. I'll condense it for you again too. But basically, you need to be mindful of the fact that you don't want to be pushing when you don't have all of your abilities up. Your timing needs to be you're pushing with your abilities, but you don't want to dump everything right at the start and then keep going because your abilities are what bails you out from death. If you have to use them all just to get in, then what are you going to use to kill them? What are you going to use to keep yourself alive when you're actually fighting the enemy? So I'll skip forward a little.
What's up? Heroes never die.
Okay. And here, TPing on is fine. Suzu's all fine. I feel like the way you come back into this is all good. You're just pocketing your team. You see the Tracer going behind here, so you can keep an eye out for that. You are keeping an eye out for that, so I think that's all good. I think for this fight, like overall, you've played it quite well. Like you've wound up in a position where you're in the middle of everything, but you're not at risk. You've got a good piece of cover, so you can see your team. You can mark the flank. I think the reality of this fight is that, you guys are a little bit down from the get-go. The question of like, oh, how could I have carried this? How could I have won this? Maybe your Suzu was better. Maybe you didn't Suzu the first thing. Maybe you Suzu the Flux. Maybe you headshotted the Tracer, so then she runs away. But, you don't have to look at every single fight and be like, oh, I made some critical error that resulted in us losing here. You didn't have your ult yet, I don't think. Like, your ult is 85%. The only thing that you could maybe be changing is, like, you're spamming here when she's not peeking. You can probably be like, you can be like taking a shot here, doing a left click worth of heals, just a bit of back and forth with the triage, because the more you stare at the flank, the more you're not doing something in main, and all time that you spend doing nothing in Overwatch is really, really bad. This is, again, it's all about uptime.
Like just maximizing value and not getting a lot of value from spamming the flank.
Yeah, I mean, spamming at somebody in the hopes that they peek out is very low value in comparison to watching the flank, healing main, watching the flank. You can go for like one shot spamming a flank, but the reality is if you shoot this corner 3 times, you're probably not going to headshot the Tracer on the 4th, right? Like she's not playing the game with her eyes closed, so she's going to see those coming. She's going to see those coming, and she's just going to blink over here instead, or she'll just time it around your shots. So
obviously,
so spamming is like rather low value unless you're spamming a choke. Like for instance, when you were coming out of spawn and you saw the enemy team was up there, they have to they have to peek here, right? They have to peek here, so you get some free ult charge. You just keep shooting. They're going to try and watch the cart. You're going to get free damage in. But for something like this, it's very low uptime. All right, now we're still alive, and this is good. Because again, the more time you spend alive, even if you're not killing anyone, you know, you can be charging your ult, you can be pressuring people backwards.
Like a gentle rain.
Here we're still just holding on. I feel like this is, I feel like this is good, you know, like up right now this is good. Maybe one thing that you might want to be thinking about at this point is your ult. Like you know, you've had your
Yeah.
ult for something like 30
It's
seconds.
exactly what I do like in the next
Okay.
5 or 10 seconds, I
Yeah,
think.
because even before, like even when they orbital raid in main, like that could have been your opportunity to go. There's so many different cues for when you can use your ult. I get that I get that you're you know, you guys are down right now. Like you're down you know, both DPS, but you've got a couple people here, so you can keep fighting inside that. And if they use the orbital ray, and you want to keep committing to that fight, like there's nothing wrong with matching an ult. You know, you see them use one, you match one in response. There's definitely an option there, but nothing really wrong. And then this timing turned out really good. This turned out very good. And then yeah, I think the way that you've played this is quite good. When you're trying to stay alive and you're in a corner or whatever, one thing that, you know, you might want to start trying to like integrate into your Kiriko is going for like little wall climbs and stuff like that. Like, you know, where you are.
Never like.
Yeah,
I never use that.
Kiriko's movement is really, really complicated, and maybe it's something that, you know, it takes a long time to build that up, but you know, you need to have it in your mind in order to build it up.
Yeah,
It
it's
might
a good
feel
thing. Like starting it can't hurt.
yeah,
so.
it's something that you'll have to build up over time, but again, it's a part of the natural movement on the hero, and it's a huge part. Like right now, you're standing in this corner, or you were standing in this corner, healing, but you're super low, like you're afraid of death. Reality is, right behind you, there's an escape to safety, right? But you don't play the character in a way where you feel that escape. You're not used to using this terrain. Same as when you came up to the Widowmaker up here. You know, like you could have just walked up, climbed up, but instead you're TPing up. You need to start building these habits of using the whole hero's kit. So the wall climb, I'm not saying that, you know, it's make or break right now, but it's something that you want to start practicing. And then here, you know, you're just going for a little peek in main. Got your Suzu forced out. It's not great, but it's not the end of the world either. It looks like you've pretty much survived. So
I take an embarrassing long time to see the tracer.
It's alright. She took a long time to press W, A, S, and D as well, so I think it's all good. All right, and then I think again the way you're playing this fight is okay. From a position standpoint, you're kind of just in the middle of nowhere is the thing. Like this square right here. So sorry if I'm moving the camera around too quick. I'm a bit.
No, I
yeah. This square right here is not great because there's no cover at all. Often, you know, people
I struggle with positioning on this point, honestly, on most heroes.
Often people will anchor to here or here or inside here, you know, maybe even inside here, but you really don't want to wind up in no man's land.
Yeah, I'm just
this is no man's land. Even being on the cart is better in a lot of ways because the cart provides you with some form of cover. You know, they pick you from high ground, you can hide here. But this square right now, where the Mercy is, where you were for the longest time, this is no man's land in a lot of ways because it's just really, really dangerous to be there. There's so much. They can see you from everywhere.
To get shot from.
Exactly. Again, these are just, you know, just sort of general habits that you want to build up. The other thing, you know, you're playing Kiriko, you climb walls. If you're not near a wall, you don't even have the option to use that part of the kit.
Okay, yeah. It's like staying even closer to walls and corners.
It's very useful in this hero. Cover is always important in this game. You'll find that
obviously.
Good, you know, like the best players, they're always using cover all the time. Like they'll be out in the open for such short periods of time. But you know, good Kirikos especially, they're really good with the movement. They're really good with having an option for an escape that doesn't involve using their skills.
Yeah, I mean that probably takes a lot of time.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
It's just good to know to focus on that when trying to learn the hero.
I think it's not something that you need to tunnel on, you know? It's just something that you need to be thinking like,
just be aware that it exists, because I probably would take a lot longer to figure out that wall climb is just really useful in those situations.
Just try to build it up.
Never play characters with it.
Yeah, just try to build it up, you know? Just keep it as something that you're considering every time you pick the hero. That was really good. Time to Suzu. It was a little bit impossible to Suzu everybody because it was a massive flux, but I think you know, opening of this fight was totally fine. This is the same sort of space again here. Not saying you should have done it, but you know, this is another one of these spots where it's like, you know, they're
I was thinking about that when looking back at the game myself. I was like, I could have like gone up there, poked a lot from the off angle,
Yeah.
taking some attention from the front line.
It's really because your team was fighting so much in main. It probably wasn't a good choice in this fight in particular. But this is just another one of the options. You know, it's another one of the places where it's like, oh, you shot the Torb to half. Maybe you can climb back up and continue to pressure him, something like that. It's just something. Here, the only other thing is that you wind up being very close to the team. Like you're caught in this flux.
Yeah.
It's good if Kiriko's like a block back a lot of the time. If you're sometimes you just don't really benefit from being in the position to shoot them, like that. You're versus a Sigma, so you're not going to be doing a lot of poke. Like that you're going to be fighting into a shield and whatnot anyway.
I think I do that a lot on Kiriko, like staying too close. I think that's definitely something I should watch out for.
I think so for sure. Because if you get really close, then you get caught up in all of their frontline ults and all of their frontline engagements, and then your Suzu gets forced out for stuff other than healing your team. It didn't cost you anything this time around because you Suzu'd as many people as you could. But if you were like back,
like the technically correct thing to do.
If you were back over here after you'd poked out that Torbjorn, then the only place they could peek you is from up here, and you just cleared that. So like that's all good. You're not too worried about this anymore, and you can just be heal botting really hard, like really high uptime on your heals. And then maybe you could have won this fight because you keep healing the hog, you Suzu the DPS, then you have ult, you keep fighting because you're really close to ult right now, but not quite close enough. Is this whole game Kiriko, or do you honor on the defense?
No, I go Ana and defense at some point, and I'm a lot more confident in my Ana.
Yeah. Okay. We got time for all, so that's no stress.
That's good. Also, my Kiriko aim just is not there yet.
It's always a work in progress. It's like all these projectile heroes. They take heaps of practice. I think this whole stagger phase has been like really ugly for your whole team. I feel like you don't have a lot of agency in these situations. The only thing that you can do is just make sure that you're not getting hit. Like you're getting like poked by the Torb turret or whatever. Just like step back enough that you can still see your team in main when you step back more, but they can't see you anymore. So like there's no reason for you to stand in the doorway.
I need to get used to like finding the boundary where I'm still safe and can still heal, because I feel like I played like more focusing on healing than staying safe.
Yeah.
And I could probably stay safe and still do the healing.
Yeah, well the reality is, like Kiriko doesn't have any fall off, Ana doesn't have any fall off, so whether you're close or you're far, as long as you hit the shot, you will do the same amount of healing. And for something like this, there's no need to be close, because you can just be a couple steps back, and then nobody on that high ground can see you anymore. Here again though, you don't have a whole lot of agency in this fight. Maybe maybe it would have been worthwhile for you to, because underneath here is actually very, very safe for your team. It's unlikely that these people are going to drop over. Maybe you could have TP'd over to them, because you're gonna want to come over here eventually. So maybe you could have TP'd over to them when you were struggling. But I think it's a combination of things that lead to your Suzu being shit here and you not getting the value. It's the fact that, because you're getting poked from the high ground, you're taking a lot of damage, and then you're under more pressure. It's like, oh, you want to hit this Suzu, but you also don't want to die. So because your position at the start could have been better, you could have been further back and getting the heals without any pressure on you. Your Suzu, you're more pressured to do it. But then also, you're far away. You could have also TP'd over to this side, because as soon as they're underneath, you can just rest under here and do the same thing. Yeah.
I could have easily Suzu'd the hog, and then the top probably would have died.
Yeah.
And
I think that the consideration here is just you can use your TP to rotate into positions with your team. You can stay behind on a rotation. You can watch your team cross and heal their cross, and then you can TP over to where they are. That's just something that you can generally implement into your gameplay. The only reason that you wouldn't do that is if they have like a tank that can catch you. Like if they're playing Winston, Tracer, Genji, Sombra, Tracer or something, you TP and they'll jump on you. But in this comp right now, there's very little punishment for you teleporting, because all of their DPS, except for Sombra, are super slow. Or their characters rather, other than Sombra, are super slow. So anyway, let's see where it goes from here. Shit.
It does not go well, I can tell you that much.
Is it a slow bleed?
Wait, go back for a second, like 5 seconds. I tried to TP to my Cass, my fucking TP doesn't trigger, and I just Suzu a random wall. because I hear that he's battling
I
someone there.
see. Yeah, I see. I think for stuff like this, it's you saw your cast going over to the right. Maybe you can go flanking with him. Again, this is the thing about Kiriko, where kind of like in the first fight, you can walk to sides and be relatively unpunished. And if you ever wind up in danger, you can just teleport back to your main core. So if you see your cast walking up on the right hand side at the beginning, you can just go with him. You two can just go
both
walking.
of my DPS were there. I would have probably.
So you will definitely
just
you will
gone with them.
definitely be in a position to carry the game if you walk with them. It's Kiriko can go many places, so you shouldn't feel like you're always anchored to just following one player. But if you see people walking up on the flank, don't hesitate to follow them, because Kiriko really benefits from being on the flank too.
Something I feel like I struggle with is like deciding the timing of when to like go on the off angle with the DPS and enable them, and when to just like pocket my tank through 10 million damage that he's taking. Like I feel like I struggle when to go.
I think
which way.
I think one way that you can maybe give yourself some help in terms of figuring it out is you can press tab, you can look at the ults in the fight, and you can think like who has ults right now, who's going to carry the game. Like your Cass has an ult and he's going up on the flank, so he would be a good person to pocket in this fight. It's always perhaps beneficial to pocket someone that might have their ult, might carry the game. In ranked, you should always be very selfish. You'd always be thinking about how you can get the most value, but you getting the most value can be pocketing the guy with the ult, right? If someone has an ult and you pocket them, then that can be a good thing. If someone's hitting a flank that might break their hold, that can be a good thing. But that can be something that's very difficult to identify in terms of like, oh, is this a good flank? Is this a bad flank? Like there's no expectation that you know.
Like a good way to think about
just
it.
look at the ults. Like, look at the ults and think, is this guy going to carry?
Who can carry this fight? Who do I want to enable the most? And it's not the zero charge Zarya main.
Yeah. Absolutely. So then here, I mean, you've TP'd on, but it's a bit too late at this point. Yeah, the flank, the time to come and help the flank has already kind of come and gone. All right. God, the last minute and a half has been a bloodbath.
Yeah, it's just it kind of stays like this.
Soul crushing offense.
Yeah, it was really. We just I don't know. Kind of try to walk somewhere, someone dies, Mercy dies, and try panic run like mad.
Okay, so maybe I think this fight could be worth talking about, because here your team has actually got their ultimates. I think the problem here is that like you've kind of missed the boat on where your whole team is going. Like if you watch this from
I'm just kind of staying there.
Yeah, like you're staying in main in that safe angle, but you've missed everyone's movement. Like everyone's coming over to the side, and you've just been kind of doing the same default thing. You're watching main, you're poking a little bit. It's always really important that you're just constantly checking the positions of your teammates, especially on a hero like Kiriko. When you're playing Ana, you have like this luxury that you can kind of post up and just watch main and keep shooting and keep finding value. But on Kiriko, so much of your value comes from being really active on the map, from being present on one side and then present on another. And the only way you can do that is if you have awareness of where your teammates are, because you need to know where you can escape to, where you can jump to and from. So here, you've had people walking up on the flank again. Everyone is moving over to the flank now.
Yeah, I just didn't notice that.
Yeah. That being said, your Mercy has just died to like absolutely nothing. Like I don't think that it's super unreasonable for you to be in main for a little bit, because if your Zarya came main, then you could have healed her and everything would have been okay. So your Mercy, we can ascribe
I kind of try to follow like remembering so that, how do I say, if the team splits up, that each part has a support with them.
Yeah.
So like with my Zarya stays main and my DPS go on the off angle. Maybe
I think that's a reasonable
yes.
principle to apply. And then this fight, your Mercy died first. You kind of messed up your movement here on the wall. Like maybe when they use the Torbolt, you probably don't want to Kiriko ult into that. You never want to push into a Torbolt. But you've been holding onto the ult for a while, but there hasn't been a fight in a long while either. So it's pretty difficult to make that judgment on when you're actually supposed to use it. Again, though, you see the enemy use an ult, that is always a potential cue for you to use yours. So when they started pushing out with the ult,
I've like never thought about like that, and I'll try to.
Oh really? With the ult usage?
Yeah, I kind of like obviously try to get value with my ult, but I usually don't think about it in a way to counter enemy ults. I just try to kite them, but obviously it makes sense.
I think kiting. Oh, you go. You go.
I'm just scared of like old like counter like if the enemy raise and I have Ray, obviously I'd like mirror that, but
Yeah.
if the enemy raise and I have Kitsune Rush Ana, I've never thought about like just mirroring that much, but I mean it's a very good idea.
Yeah, I think the reality is that it's extremely hard for pro teams to kite an ult, you know? Like enemy team uses an ult. It's really hard for people to kite. And like you're in a ranked lobby, someone's gonna mess up the kite. Someone's gonna need the extra help. So like if you're struggling on timing for when to use an ult, you feel like you're not finding value with yours, the surefire way is just to match your ult with something else. Like match your ult with an enemy support ult. Obviously don't Kitsune rush a nano blade or something, right? Like there's no logic there. You're still gonna die. But for something like a Ray, for them pushing with a you know, with something like a Flux where you might benefit from having the faster heals or something like that. It's situational, but matching ults is not necessarily always a good thing, but it's a valuable tool to have, and it helps.
Obviously a good thing to try, and
yes,
I'll learn when it works and when it doesn't.
Exactly.
Time
Exactly. Yeah. Overall, this ult that you did was good. The only downside of what you did with your ult is that you didn't really use it. Like you moved out of
I
it.
got scared and
But
ran away.
but you did have on the upside you did have like decent Kiriko movement. You know, you actually wall climbed to safety and used some cover. So you know there might be a negative in that you didn't use the ult. But at the same time there was an upshot too. If you used it from up here, I remember when Kiriko came out, people in Al always used to talk about like waterfalling the ult. You know, because if you use it here, it will just go over the wall and come all the way down here. So if you use it on a high ground, it will fall down to the low ground and keep going. So
yeah, I know. I tried that yesterday on fucking Gibraltar, second point on attack, and I launched into the side of the fucking spaceship and it didn't reach low ground.
Well, that's a good habit to have. That's a good habit to have because then you can use it in multiple different places. Like you can fight back, you can push forward. You have multiple choices with it. But there is also nothing wrong with just swinging the corner, ulting, and pushing in with it. So it's not like this scene is the end of the world.
I think I get what you're trying to say.
And then this all good. You're just cleaning up the fight. Untouched card, I think. Thought for a second there that was going to be a painful one, but no.
My gift to you.
What you're doing here is
Fortunately,
good.
no C9s this game, I think.
Oh yeah, Zarya wants to win the game. Oh, you're going to cap second, aren't you? Okay. Well, everything you did was fine. You had some cover. You played up with your team. You pocketed your Zarya. You shot the grav. You know, you could have like swung wider in main. Like when you were back here, you could have swung wider in main to have a better
like
could have walked up more.
I was wondering about the thing. Like if I like, can you go back to the part in main again?
Yeah.
Like if I like go out of my cover from the corner, like away from the card.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like once I'm out of cover, I can like probably just swing wider anyways because like I'm out in the open.
I think right now you're pushing card, right? And there's value in that. Like you have 2 card instead of 1, and there's value in that. If you want to be any further forward to swing, like out here is crazy because you have no cover. If someone can peek you, they can kill you. Like you'd want to be like here, you know? You'd want to be like really the next block up. Like the only. Can you see my mouse?
No, I can't.
Okay. I gotta lose my job for this one. But yeah, this is a block of cover. This is a block of cover.
No, but I get what you mean with like block of covers. Yeah.
And then the cart
just move from one to another.
But the cart movement will rapidly become a new block of cover for you too. So two cart is not a bad thing at all. I think being out here is like it's good for an angle to shoot the grav. You shouldn't be afraid of walking over here to shoot in the grav, you know, because you were kind of like on the brink and you weren't shooting the grav as a result. Like I was watching here and I thought,
a little scared.
Yeah, like you can take 2 steps to the left, you know what I mean? And you're Kiriko, so like you can poke from out in the open. And then if you get shot, just 180 and TP back to your team. You know what I mean? TP back to your mercy. Yeah. So it's not the end of days. It's always a good
get out of jail free card.
Exactly. As long as you don't use your double get out of jail free card to go forward, then all will be good in the world.
Yeah, we've seen how that goes.
Yeah, well, you wind up in jail for some reason. All right, what do we have going on here?
I'm just kind of.
You're pushing cart, Suzu the hack. I think you're doing God's work at this point. Wouldn't be unhappy with this at all.
No, I miss every shot as per usual.
It's okay. You know, it's hard to coach shots.
Practice thing.
Yeah, it's hard to coach shots. I mean,
Yeah, no, definitely. I know it's like that's like the least thing to worry about. That's just something that comes with playing the hero a lot.
Be careful, Shmada. Heroes never die.
I don't know what I was doing there. I will be honest. I don't know what I was seeing.
Warm inside.
you're in the clutch. You know, sometimes in the throes of passion, a Suzu can slip out. But I think overall, like the way you played this whole third point, it was fine. You didn't do anything exceptional. You didn't do anything terrible. You didn't have cover when you were fighting over here, but that's okay because you're kind of fighting them staggering on. You're fighting them with your ults. Your whole team is in front of you. So if your whole team is in front of you, you know you're like relatively safe. Just something to be aware of is that again, if you're just constantly in this kind of no man's land zone out here in the back, then they can line of sight you from behind. They can peek you from up here on the high ground, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You know,
Yeah,
because
you've
you're
probably just played behind the pillar on the left. Maybe.
yeah, exactly. You could use this pillar here, or it's not like you constantly have to use the pillar. You just need to be
Obviously,
you need
yeah,
to be
just
anchored to something.
close
Is
to
all.
it, yeah.
If you're right here and this is your anchor point, like you're strafing in the middle, then that's probably a problem. But if you're just anchoring a little closer to the wall, you get shot 3 times. You stand behind the wall, you're fine again, right? Like you don't need to stand on a corner, never ever peeking, never ever taking any risk.
Obviously, yeah.
You just need to be not standing in the middle of fucking nowhere. Yeah.
Special talent of mine.
Oh, it's a special talent of all of us. I can say this stuff, but then I load into the game, and if I watch my own gameplay back, I feel physically ill. I'm standing out in the open. I'm like, wow, I'm the worst player in the universe. It's definitely easier said than done, you know.
No, as with everything.
Is there Honor gameplay in this? You swap 1 second or something?
Yes, there is an Alma somewhere, definitely in this. I don't exactly remember when.
Feel better?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that first fight, you guys are kind of getting counter-comped, to be honest. You guys are getting counter-comped. And the other thing is because they're rotating through here, there's actually not a lot you can do here. Like, there's genuinely not a lot you can do here because you can't shoot them on their rotation at all along here. The only thing you could have done is, you know, if you knew they were coming right side, I'm not. Let me see. Do you know?
No.
Yeah, you don't need to come all the way back here. Maybe you could just you could be up on this corner because from this corner you can. From this corner, you can see everything. You can peek main and you can shoot. You can peek this flank and you can shoot. You can shoot over here. You can actually. This is actually a very powerful position because you can see inside here and you can shoot the flank and you can watch the flank. Obviously you can't watch an invisible Sombra, so it sucks to be you. But this is a very good position to you jiggle peek here. You keep spamming up main. You spam the flank. You can come over here and you can shoot here.
It feels so far forward, but as Kiriko, you can always just press TP and be out of there.
One thing about Kiriko though, because your base damage is not very high, I don't think you're going to get a lot of value spamming the shield, right?
Yeah.
Like as soon as you see this, if there's a Ryan here shielding up, walking forwards, you should be pressing S. You should be running away because they're just gonna roll into your Zarya and your Ashe, and you're just gonna want to go for the Suzu. So I think where you wound up is great. The thing is, where you wound up is actually where you started, which was not great.
Yeah, I get it.
You cut step 1 to successfully arrive at step 2. It was a good Suzu. You Suzu'd a lot. You couldn't Suzu the Resing Mercy and the other. So I think you've done well, but yeah, you got counter-comped. Unlucky. Here, this is all good. I don't know. There's a bug on the current patch, which is soon to be wiped, so no problem, I suppose. There's a bug on the patch where you can't see health bars. Like you're a support, and I can't see anyone's health until they go critical.
No, I could see health.
Yeah, I know. It's just it's just a spectator bug, but it's so annoying. It's
that does sound pretty annoying.
Yeah, it's like I have no idea whether your Zara was healthy or not until I looked up top. Here you could have lived. Let's go back. Let's watch how you died.
Yeah.
Thanks for the touch-up.
I feel like I overstayed my welcome a little bit in here.
Yeah, I mean,
at this point, I probably should have just.
The thing is, right now we're in a 2v5, and I think remember the biggest principle above all else is that you want to live. You want to save people, right?
Yeah.
But you want to live. And from where you are right now, you could live because what you could do is you could keep trying to heal your Zarya, but you know, or you know, in an ideal world, you know that you're not going to win the 2v5. Your Zarya is not going to walk in and kill everyone. So keep on
would
running.
assume
Yeah,
that.
keep on running. Come up this way, climb up this wall. You're out. From here, you're
It
like
just
out.
feels so mean to leave my Zarya alone.
It feels mean to leave people to die, but you're in a 2v5. If they don't want to run away, that's on them. So if you're in a 2 versus 5, play your life. Come over here, climb up the wall with your newly gained wall climb tech, and then just run. You run backwards, and you can keep pocketing the Zarya out. You know, she tries to run away, you can heal her from up here. You can watch her, you can heal her. You don't even need to climb away until they come closer, right? You can heal her here, you can heal her here, you can climb up here, you can keep running. And then you just come back, you take the mini, you can TP back to your team when they get back, you can keep running away, you can just run off into the night. You know, you can be alive. And while you're alive, while you're alive, your ult charge keeps going up, and that's a good thing. That's always a good thing. You can spam at people, but yeah, you came back in to try and help her, and there's no helping. There's no helping the 2v5 Zarya.
Yeah.
She actually got out. She actually got out. So at the end of the day, she managed to live 1v5 because your Mercy got back. But yeah, for you, like, be more selfish. You know, selfish in the sense that your life is more valuable than anyone else's life on the team. That's a principle that you must apply to ranked. You know, you're playing support, you're trying to help your teammates, but you being alive is more important than anything. If you're dead, you're doing nothing. Here, the way you rolled out, the way you came back into the fight, you could probably do this a little better.
I was thinking about going like the top window.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Middle, but I was worried my team was gonna push too far around the corner and I wouldn't see them while they were fighting the
Ryan.
So...
This is just this is okay because you can start healing. You come up here, you can kind of watch on the corner, and you can drop down if you need to. This is always just like a good starting position. If your team is fighting over here, like they're holding this corner, then back here is great because on Ana you can play really far back. No one can ever hurt you. You have a mini to help yourself. You can DP by just walking to the right, and you can just spam heals, nade the corner. But with what's happening right now, where everyone is fighting so far down here, you're probably better off coming up here first, so you can see them here, and then drop down and come fight. But not the end of the world. Just like general good Ana position. And yeah, I think. All right, you've done well here. You've done well. You're playing the corner. I feel like I can see you're more comfortable on Ana instantly. To be honest, it just looks better. Broadly speaking, though. Ana is a hero where you really can get value from super far away quite often. Yeah. It's good that you dropped in this instance, but there are these moments where you're coming around the corner and you're coming forward. You know, you want to make your nade easier, you want to make your shots easier, and you're getting really close to people, and that's okay. But they're on Ryan. You know, you want to play in a position where no one can play
like a big risk to take.
Try to play where you're untouchable, you know? Try to play where they can't get you. So
if you have maybe like in the bottom left, like where you are. Like...
This is a dangerous position. I would never play Ana here. Yeah, I would never play Ana here because the problem with here is that they can flank over on the left and they can fight you. And then if they come exactly. The only way to get out is to run out in the open here. So this corner is good. The nitpick is just, you know, be careful about walking forward close to your tank because you never need to do that to increase your healing. The only reason you're doing that is to make it easier for yourself to hit the nade and stuff like that, but you're running the risk of getting swung by the Rhine, getting shot by everyone. So yeah. And here,
and then I go down card.
Yeah, no, that's all good. That's all good.
And we hold a bit here, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Where you're retaking here is totally fine, like coming up in main. This is all good. Like your sleep is valuable. Your sleep is valuable, but versus a comp like this, there's no pressure, so you can go for lots of gamble sleeps. Much like how I was saying on Kiriko, that you know you get out of jail free cards and you want to try and preserve them as long as possible. You know, like you want to save your TP so you can get aggressive and TP away. The thing about your sleep is that if you're versus dive heroes, you know, you're versus like Traces and you're versus Winstons, keep it for yourself. But in this matchup, you can be so loose. You can play so fast and loose with the sleep. You can just, if you like gambling, then I mean, this is the matchup for you, you know, because you can just gamble as much as you can gamble as much as you want with this sleep. You have lots of freedom right now. You've got your soldier doing stuff on the flank. You saw him on the edge of your screen. Could be worth, just checking where he is, right now. Nothing you can do to help
I
him.
did not notice him up there
Because
until he killed
okay,
someone.
yeah, no, I mean it's it can be difficult sometimes. You're in the middle of a fight, you don't have the luxury of pausing and talking about it for 10 seconds before making your next 0.5 seconds of decisions. But it's always good to just again support whether you're Kiriko, whether you're Ana, awareness of your whole team's position. Because you can do everything on Ana. You can scope in and heal your teammate if they pick you.
Tunnel vision very quickly.
Oh yeah, no, that's super reasonable. I mean, it happens to everyone. And then here, you should poke them from the window. Like you should peek with your team and shoot and go for nades. So right now, what you're doing, this is no good because they just respawned. Your team, like both your DPS, they're peeking, they're shooting. At this range, in this situation, there's no tank that can press you. Maybe the Ash can shoot you in the head, but you can also go backwards. You can also afford to be standing here, shooting your gun, going for nades, gambling with a sleep. Like you can do all of that because they have no threat to you right now. They're on.
There's no reason not to do it.
Exactly.
Don't lose anything by just cheating and
yeah. So there's no need to jerk off at the back here. You're small, fucking hell. All right.
I hear the Sombra here TP up and spy checker.
That was fucking good. That was really good. Yeah, and then where you rotated, this is good as well. You're coming back. You want to fall back this way. Again, you're falling back towards the open. You want to fall back to like blocks of cover.
I do end up there, but the first few steps were the wrong way.
I think overall though, like this fight it's been good apart from the fact that you didn't poke. You played behind your team the whole time. You rotated between different blocks of cover. Your use of those corners, it's not perfect. And that's probably, that's the most valuable thing in Overwatch that you can apply to every single character all the time. All the time. You need to be thinking about your blocks of cover and how can you break line of sight between yourself and the enemy. And that's
also
here.
The nano on the bottom might have been a little creative, but I wanted to make sure we didn't like
Bob's putting in the work. Bob's putting in the work right now. Yeah. Like he's actually zoning everyone. So there's actually
that was the idea. Like I saw the enemy go, I was like, okay, I don't want them to push off this, so I'll just not let them do that.
Yeah. And then here, I mean, your soldier, he wasn't one for this world, but I think what you've done here is all good. And then as long as you fall back to the left. I do not want to peek the window. My team does not agree. Yeah. I mean, they like walking into windows. That's their prerogative. You can't make the decisions for them, but so
I feel
far,
like I stay too close here.
Yeah, exactly. When your Zarya is holding on this block of cover, that means that it's no longer your block of cover. Yeah, Ana can be like infinite blocks back. If you're if you're playing back here,
as long as I have line of sight, it's fine.
If you're playing back here, this is dog shit because it's really hard to hit an nade. Like it's too far, it's too safe. But in the time that your Zarya was holding this corner, you could have kept coming back to here and just tried to get further.
What are some positions I could have fallen back to? Like obviously behind the pillar, but could like
it's pretty much it's pretty much just this corner right now because of how the fight is continually happening and you're trying to continually do stuff. It really is only this corner because to go any further back, like to go down here, it's safe. You could get all the way back here. You could have a second block. You could have a mini to keep yourself alive if you're in any danger. But it's also a position where you're never going to hit a nade unless they push around the corner.
Yeah.
If you're here, you still have choice, right? Because you can keep healing your Zarya. The Ryan can't swing you, and if they come into the open,
would it make sense to go back like to the mega behind you?
You could do this, but you do have to come out into the open, right? And because the fight is this would be the position that you want to be on when you're all holding this corner, and it's like the start of the fight, and you're holding this corner. You would want to be back here because here you can see everything. You can
getting there is very risky.
Yeah, exactly. In the middle of the fight to get there is a risk. So this is your ideal world position, but this is the position for the situation because to go further back is a lot. And where you've actually rotated again is totally fine, right? Like the Ray came in, you kept coming back, you wound up here. This is all good. I wouldn't start here, but rotating here in the middle is perfect. This is good.
Okay.
And you're breaking line of sight really well as well. Like you're using the pillars. You're keeping yourself safe. So I think you've done a very good job with this.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable with my positioning now. It's like,
Again here you see how you like you came quite far forward and you kind of risked getting shattered. Like you could get shattered here really easily. It was the same as what you were doing on first point when you were on this corner, where it's like you're on a very close corner and you're getting really close to your front line, and that just means that you're gambling with your life. You're enabling them to potentially shatter you. You didn't get shattered here, you didn't get shattered here, but in both cases you could have. So it's always good to
Yeah.
be on Honor. It's always good to be far back enough that you're just not going to get shattered.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This one was pure luck. I think my Zarya booped him or something. The one on the on the low ground, I was like waiting for the shatter and
Yeah.
dodged it on purpose. But the one here, it was just pure luck.
Yeah. All right.
I also reload too often.
I
just
mean,
realized
like reloading you're reloading when you've got 7 bullets and you're still fighting.
Yeah.
Like it's fine to reload between fights and stuff. Probably don't do it in the middle if you're still trying to heal people. But again, same situation here. It's like you're in the safest position in the entire universe. They're in spawn right now. This is second point Shambali.
I was a bit worried about the Sombra here, but it ended up.
It's
not
a
doing anything
it's
for
a it's a
this,
one
so-
it's a 1v5 Sombra. You know, like it's their Sombra
true.
on high ground. Or so really again, you know how your team was getting spawn camped for so long, just walking up here. That's because all of
they
them
were
were
all
up on the high
poking,
ground shooting. Yeah, like you're not contributing to that. You could be going for a nade, going for a sleep, and you know your cooldowns will be back in 10 seconds. If they're down here getting naded and slept, for them to get up here, like all of your cooldowns will be back again for the fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, too safe between fights, not safe enough during them, I'd say. Because there's just no need. There's just no need to be so far back at the start. What you're doing here with the Sombra is all good. Just be mindful. I think this is the second time in a row where it's happened. The Sombra comes and fights you, and both times you wind up coming over here to try and block her. Your team is probably going to want to fall back over here, not down here. In the ideal world.
Yeah.
So just try to be mindful of that, and try to be mindful of the fact that you saw it. Well, actually, you didn't see their team rotating left because you weren't poking. So maybe you don't even know where their main stack is. So again, another reason to peek main and poke and shoot them. It's so you can see where they can go, and it can inform your next position. Because your next position, it's probably going to wind up being over here, given they're coming this side. But if they were coming over here, then you would just be here. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
I got what you mean.
Yeah, really important to have vision of where the enemy team is. You don't want to be hard peeking them in the middle of the fight, but whenever you're safe, look at them and shoot them. And then here, you've done okay. Because you're dueling with the Sombra for so long, you're not healing other people in the front though. If you were in a safer position from the get-go, then Sombra comes on you. Yeah, Sombra comes on you. You can nade your feet. She goes away. Then you're just back in main. High uptime, always healing, always doing damage. And now you should be looking like, okay, they're on the corner. I'm going to go to my next block. You do go to your next block. This is a situation where you could, you're super safe. You could come back here. You could get into that god spot.
We have the time. Exactly. Not running in with Ray. I have the time to go back. But instead I walk out into the open, as I usually do.
Yeah, as is tradition. So yeah. The other reason that it's really good to be a block back here is because on Ana, it's not just about being safe for yourself, it's about seeing everyone. Your DPS, they're more willing to go out into the open. You know, you're a support. You don't kill people in 1 second by aiming at them really good. So for them, they have the luxury of taking more risk, swinging really wide, and getting a good angle to do big damage.
No, I don't see them because I'm not like...
Yeah. So from your position, if your Ashe gets shot, you can't even tell. You can't even help her.
Yeah.
So she's going to stop shooting. She's going to do less. For you, if you're in your safe starting position for every fight, when the fight actually happens, then you can see everyone, you can pocket everyone, and you can still go for your nades on the corner. I'm also noticing you throw your nade, you throw your sleep. When you're playing against a Ryan, this guy's probably going to have his shield broken eventually. If you think more about instead of gambling with the cooldowns, you know, I encouraged you earlier to gamble.
Definitely a big thing for almost all characters that I like sometimes go and just autopilot with my abilities. Especially like when playing Ana with dive, it's something I've gotten a lot better at. But in the start, I just like used to throw nades anywhere instead of like waiting for my team to be set up and ready for a dive.
So your cooldowns, you can gamble with them when the enemy team is rotating, but once the fight is happening, try to have more intent with them. You can use the nade to bail out your Zarya when her health gets a little bit low. You can use your nade aggressively when the shield is broken. You can nade the grab. Exactly. Try to, because this is a replay, I can't tell, you know, whether you're pressing tab and stuff, but when you're playing heroes like Ana especially, tab is your best friend, you know, seeing who has ults. Nano combos are fantastic. You nano your Zarya in the grab, she's going to kill everyone. you nano your soldier when he has visor, he's going to kill everyone.
Everyone's dead. Yeah.
So having awareness of what ults are coming up, it applies to everything. It's not just for Kiriko so that you know who to flank with or anything like that. It's every character all the time. Knowing who has an ult is knowing who you can enable. And on Zarya, the best way to enable, on Ana, the best way to enable them is with your nano boost.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think I'm playing a bit scared because I know EMP is coming, so I'm like,
yeah, you don't need to do anything aggro here. What you're doing throughout this whole fight is fine. The optimization is obviously being in the better position, but what you've done so far is totally fine. You needed the Rhine as well, and that's forced them to run back. Your Zarya is probably going to go to God now. Yeah, all right. And then yeah, again from here, I think you've played the mid fight totally fine. The only optimization is maybe you could have had some more uptime if you were back here. You wouldn't have.
And then I could, exactly. Like better start equals better mid fight.
Exactly. Yeah. Next. Oh, looks like you've found their Sombra and taken her away. You're still just chilling in the back. Your position right now is good. This is basically like ideal Ana positioning for the back of third point because you're really safe. You can see everyone. You can nade everyone.
Oh yeah, now I'm starting to get really stressed.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like it's you versus the world right now. That one of those reloads? I don't know. Was that one of those reloads?
It might have been. I'm not sure. I
maybe,
think I might have also just shot all my shots.
Yeah, you ran it. No,
everyone's
you ran it out. You had like one bullet, so that's fine. Okay, so here, this whole third point, I think the way you played, your position was fine. You were healing a lot. Call it a team diff, you know, because your position was totally fine. Your skill, obviously, you know, maybe you could hit more shots, maybe you could hit more nades, something like that. But that's something that's just the nature. That's the nature of the game. That's something you practice more, you'll hit more, stuff like that. You play the game more, you'll hit more of this stuff. But your position was totally fine, and you know your attempts at the skill usage were all reasonable. That's just the way it goes sometimes. You're gonna play Honor on the attack, I think that'll be good.
Yeah, I do run off because I just like felt a billion times more comfortable.
Reasonable. I think
like I tried.
There's oh, you go.
No, you go.
There's nothing wrong with one tricking a hero if you want to climb and stuff too. I think people
try to have like a little bit of like an arsenal to play just to make sure that I have something I can run with most comms.
It's always good. It's always good to have a swap in case you're getting countered, in case you have someone on your team that wants to play that hero, in case you want to try and enable someone in a different way. But if your goal is to, you know, climb ranks and win ranked games, one of the best ways to do it is to improve your understanding of one hero to the point that, you know, you're really, really good at that hero. And then once you've learned that, you'll learn skills along the way that will transfer elsewhere. If you try to spread yourself too thin by playing every character in the game, not suggesting that that's what you're doing, but if you try to spread yourself too thin by playing lots and lots of different characters all the time, you may struggle to improve at any one character in terms of actually optimizing their kit.
No, makes sense.
You can improve your general play. You'll get better at using corners and whatever, no matter what. But if one character requires you to play really wide and take lots of risk, and another character like Ana is much more benefiting from playing back and being multiple blocks away from your team, often you might find yourself a little bit confused because you have so many different jobs and you're trying to build up your skills, but it's hard to learn everything all at once. So there's nothing wrong with focusing on a hero. There's nothing wrong with focusing on a hero.
It's usually what I do, like learning Overwatch stuff in general, like just focusing on one concept until I can do like solidly and then go to the next and shit.
I think what you've done here is good. Your Orisa is in like a really dangerous position. And I think everyone on your team is in very dangerous positions here, but there's no good answer for you because if you're on Ana and your Orisa is in front of the cart, there's not a lot that you can do to help her in that situation. That's on her.
I was thinking about playing in the mini room on the left. I don't know why.
It's just it's dangerous to get here. You know, like you walk up in main. You walk up in main. You don't want to be on the cart because that's where your tank is going to be. And then when the cart is gone and you don't have that cart cover anymore, to get in here can be a real risk. You know, like you're walking out in the open to get here. And they have Ashe, they have Baptiste, they have heroes that will shoot you in the open. So I think where you wound up, you know, sneaking in here, a little bit behind your team, you get back here, this is about as good as it can get. The thing is, again, you're kind of in that block with your tank. You're in that block with your front line.
Yeah.
Here would be much better because here you can.
Yeah, I see.
You can pocket cart, you can pop out and heal your DPS. You can keep rotating with your team. Like you can follow their rotation by using this cover and then sneaking through here later on. But if you're here, you're already a little bit too far forward. So you want to think about blocks and think about spacing between yourself and the tank and your DPS. And in an ideal world on Ana, you're behind everybody. You know, you have full vision of everyone. Obviously here, you know, that's a little easier said than done. There's a lot of walls to block that line of sight. So you do need to move.
They do kind of mess with it, yeah.
But this is your starting position. You know, you snuck through here, sneak in here next.
You go in here, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then I wonder if you get full health here. I think you know what you've done is fine, but yeah, people are getting traded and you're dying in spawn. So
10 seconds remaining.
I don't think we touch here much.
yeah. Again, maybe the
next round.
yeah. You can go. Sorry, my bad.
No, it's fine. My internet is lagging.
Oh right.
so
Okay.
Just go.
It's just maybe, you know, if you're in a safer position, you're going to get more value from the skills. You know, when you're not under pressure, when you're not low, when you don't need to nade yourself, you have more luxury to make a better decision. Your nade might anti the enemy tank, and then if you nade the enemy tank as well as your tank, then they can't push anymore, etc. You get a lot more value when you're not under pressure. That's the thing about Ana that's a little bit bait, where you can put yourself in aggressive positions and that makes the nade easier in a way, but it also makes the nade super rushed because you need to use it or you're going to be dead too. All of the skills, you'll see benefit if you use them from safer positions.
Yeah, and this round just goes the same. I decided to go to Brig because, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I don't think Brig matches up particularly well into Ryan. Like, I think that Ryan is something that he's... Well, you know, you're small, Ryan. You know, you're a Ryan with a smaller shield and a smaller hammer. If you stand in the Ryan's face and swing your hammer, he's going to stand in your face and swing his hammer. Unfortunately, his is bigger than yours.
This goes exactly the same way as our first defense went. 5 people get dynamited and they rush the high ground.
Yeah, maybe the alternative for you, if you want to try and counter out a Ryan, you feel like a Ryan is giving you difficulty. I don't know if you play any Baptiste, but Bap is always decent into Ryan because you can shoot the shield. You know how I was saying that you don't want to play Ana into Ryan. Oh, sorry, you don't want to poke the shield on Kiriko because your poke does nothing.
Yeah,
Baptiste poke does a lot. Yeah. And if everyone is standing up here super bunched up, you can get huge value on Baptiste because your heals will splash on lots of people at once. Your damage, you can break shield, you can shoot people up in main, you can lamp when they're going to rush into you and pin. You can lamp on lots of different corners here that are like, if you put the lamp down here and your team is running away, then the enemy team will struggle to break that lamp. But Baptiste is a pretty good hero into Ryan. I think swapping Brig into it, you're just you're setting yourself up for failure because you can't fight that tank. You can't fight that Ryan. You hit a flail and that's nice. You get some spacing. But again, yeah, big Ryan has now, or big hammer has now caught you, so you're just kind of on the run. Oh, they didn't push the cart though, so that's nice. Maybe you get another fight. No, you got all the supports unlocked. You're even riding on the walls on Lucio, so there's no problems here. But yeah, this game's probably over. Your touch is probably fucked.
Yeah.
One thing to remember, like you swapped Lucio for the clutch. Let me actually look at spawn. Yeah, I think from here, the card is all the way in spawn. Your team should get another touch. Lucio, you should taxi your team. So right now you're with your Orisa, you're with your Widow. I think your Widow's swapping. Yeah, you're with these players.
Yeah,
you should taxi.
I didn't really watch the bar at the top.
Yeah,
that's very prominently in the middle of my screen.
Yeah, try to remember it. You know, like if you're rushing onto the point to touch, it helps to know where the point is because you didn't need to do this at all. If you taxied everyone back, if you stayed here, your Orisa would get back in time. Your Kiriko would TP to you, and then you would get to take a 5v5 once again. You know, if you came all the way back, but because you're not really paying attention to where the objective actually is, you're not helping anyone right now.
Yeah.
So I think at this point you're still in range of your Orisa, but you're probably going to be now you're like out of range of your Orisa. You're just doing your own thing. Always on support, you need really high awareness of where your team is because
Yeah.
you're an enabler role. You're trying to pocket your
I'll be
teammates.
honest. At this point, I was just kind of over this game.
Yeah,
I was
this-
just like, yeah, I guess I'll go Lucio to
I won't give
touch.
you I won't give you like any Lucio specific feedback. It's more just that same general concept where the awareness of where your team is really 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 important. So you like staggered on for the touch, but you know your Tracer could touch, your Orisa could touch, so
Yeah.
no need.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that's that replay.